Hello, Daisy Cakes. This is Daisy X Machina, the drag queen detective who investigates all things speculative in science fiction, fantasy, and horror. And this is a Get Ready With Me where I get into drag to film a video later today. And we have Frank, yay! Lori's here, yay! Lynette's here, all right, full house. And as usual, how is your reading going this week? I finished this, which I don't recommend. I really wanted to like it because this is from a new publisher called Bindery, where influencers each have their imprint. And yeah, I was a little disappointed. And then I started with, I read a middle grade, Doll Bones by Holly Black, which was good. Not It's a little young, so I don't know if you guys would want to read it. And then I picked up the last Flavia de Luz before the new one comes out. So actually, I thought I was on number 9, but I'm actually on number 10, and it's called The Tresses of the Dead, Golden Tresses of the Dead, or The Brides. Let me look it up. And I'm only like 4 chapters in. These tresses. The Golden Tresses of the Dead. So, and at the beginning, I love the titles of these novels. And at the very beginning, the author, whose name is Alan Bradley. Alan Bradley has like the quote that he got the title of the book from, and this one's from a Shakespeare sonnet. But if you read the sonnet, it sounds like they're talking about a wig. So I thought there was going to be a wig involved, and maybe there will be, but so far not yet. Anyway, after this, I will be caught up with Flavia de Luz, and I will be ready for the new release. Mooney is here, yay! Lori read the latest installment in the Thursday Murder Club. It was all too obvious, so that's too bad. Reading The Girl in the Eagle's Talon by Karen Smirnoff. Don't know that one. Has anyone known about readathon shortly September? I don't do readathons anymore, so I don't know. I read Angel of Vengeance. I like the title. I'm reading nonfiction about the history of queer movies in your country. Wow. So I assume you're talking about Israel. And I do remember seeing a gay movie at Israel at a film festival in San Francisco. That was ages ago. Angel of Vengeance, which is the 22nd book in the Agent Pendergast series. Oh, this one had time traveling. Evie is here. Good morning, good afternoon. It is, I guess it's afternoon for me. It's noon here. Didn't know there were any queer movies before the 70s. Well, there certainly were. I forgot the name of the series, but there are several in the 60s. And the ones before that were kind of coded. But if you go back to before the Hays Code, which was what, the 20s or 30s? 30s, I believe. If you go back like before then, there were some like gay movies or suggested movies in like black and white and in silent movies. Currently reading The Saint of Bright Doors by Vajra Chandra Sekra. I like the title, and I butchered that name. I'm annoyed. The new Flavia book is $24.95 on Kindle. I'm going to see what it is in the here. Okay, for here, I can pre-order it for $13.99. What time the sexton spade doth rust is the title. Yeah, they really gouge you nowadays in for ebooks. I mean, I remember when ebooks first came out, they were so much cheaper than like hardbacks, which makes sense because there's no overhead. There's no printing, there's no paper. But I guess publishers have caught on. Frank, in Israel, we have queer charters from the 70s. The Hays Code put a damper on everything. After it was lifted, things exploded. 1934 was the Hays Code. Female was a perfect film until the very end, which they slapped on because of Hays Code was getting ready to be implemented. I remember seeing a Katharine Hepburn movie, pre-Hays Code, which was about a woman having an affair with a married man, something like that. And it was, I mean, it's so mild compared to today, but it's like there was like her hand in a bed, you know, they cut away. You could tell that they were just having an intimate moment. Yeah. Okay. So my idea for today for makeup is that's going to do a gold eye with a gold lid with just like brown or neutral around it, which I've done before. Okay. So we'll try it again. I think they realize some people can't buy them physical due to the fact that they aren't available in their country. Before the Hays Code, there was a movie where it was implied a famous actress had some sort of sex romp with a Great Dane dog. I wrote a wonderful short story, Reduce, Reuse, Recycle by T.J. Klune, prequel to In the Life of Puppets, only available on Audible. It's kind of too bad it's only available on Audible. Okay. I still want to read. I still have not read In the Life of Puppets. But. Oops. Okay. Yeah, if anyone's looking for science fiction, Evie turned me on to Simon Jimenez. Um, and I really loved the debut novel, Vanished Birds. I wish I liked the second novel, but I had issues with it. But not to say it wasn't well written. It is very well written. Oh, come on. I need a dark brown. Don't tell me I don't have a dark brown. Oh, here we go. Oh, did anyone see the Australian breakdancer? I'd like heard about it, so I looked it up on YouTube. And it's pretty embarrassing. Instead of breakdancing, she did some sort of really bizarre interpretive dance. But it didn't appear she incorporated any like breakdancing moves that you would normally get judged on. Read a cat sleuth book for Garbogust in honor of booktuber Alice who died. Ah, perfect murder. Can't stand the idea of reading a book off of Kindle. Yeah, to each their own. For me, I like being able to enlarge the print, and I actually like being able to like you can like click or not click, but tap on a word and it'll bring up the definition, or if it's a little foreign phrase, it'll translate it for you. I like it. First in a very long series about a cat called Max and his owner who can understand cat language. And I assume they solve murder mysteries or something. I used to feel that way, Frank, but it's so handy for travel, that too. And to have many books with you. And I need a larger font. Yep. Me too, Lori. The author is Nick Saint, pen name of a couple who have written more than 80 books in this series since 2017. Wow. That's just like 80 books in 6 years. Wow. I think my love or obsession with the spear cut through water more than makes up for others' lack. Some of us have little choice to read Kindle or Audible due to failing eyesight. Yeah. Got buzzed yesterday and still a little up there. Maybe going through that route. Saw it, but it wasn't as bad. Oh, the breakdancing. I'm embarrassed by the Australian breakdancer. She took the space from someone else who should have made the team. Yeah, dancing doesn't belong in the Olympics. They let her on the team because she was a professor. Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah, I don't mind that dancing in like some of the sports, like in figure skating or gymnastics, has a creative element to it. But to be objective, you have to. There has to be some kind of criteria to enable some objective judging. I think the closest is figure skating because I forget what percentage of points or something that judges are free to um, judge the creative interpretive part, but it doesn't overshadow the objective judging. Although, of course, some judges just are assholes and won't and won't give high scores to certain countries. But that's why they have like 10 judges to balance it out. Okay. Oh, so anyway, for the video I'm um, filming today, this is a ARC advanced reader copy from a new publisher called Bindery Books. And the whole premise of this is to have influencers with big followings, not a little channel like mine, but big influencers, book influencers, to choose a book. Like agents will send books to the publisher just like any other big name publisher. And then the influencer will pick a book. I don't know if they're culled by the bindery. I'm sure bindery has some type of veto power over what the influencer chooses or some type of guidelines. Anyway, so they choose a book and then the book goes through an editing process and gets published under the influencer's imprint. and they allow the influencer to set up sort of this Patreon type channel. So if you're a big fan of the influencer, you can join the channel and get perks and get a free book if you pay enough. So it's a whole different concept and a whole different payment structure, meaning that allegedly the author gets 50% of the profits, which is an unheard of number in publishing. And plus the influencer gets 25%. So it's, you know, it's like a big deal for influencers and authors if the influencer can move the product, and if the influencer can choose good books. So it's never been done before. It's a new experiment in publishing, which I really hope, actually I'm jumping the gun, which I really hope is going to result in authors getting paid more, influencers being able to leverage their influence to help authors and make money for themselves and the author. So anyway, in October is the first time they're going to publish books. And if you look up Bindery Books, you can see the first 4 books that they're releasing. So anyway, I want to do a video on Bindery Books and review this book I got. And I'm really I was really expecting to be able to give a good review because it sounded like a good book. I love the covers. The covers on all 4 of the books are amazing. Oh, wait a second. Actually, let me go ahead and put the gold on. Oh gosh, who knows how this is going to go. Okay. Oh, I missed a whole big conversation. Oh, she did a PhD thesis on breakdancing. Okay. Those who can't do, teach. I think Emain Khalif deserves a gold medal for managing to get J.K. Rowling to stop tweeting for 13 days. So J.K. Rowling finally tweeted yesterday. Woman. Yeah, she, I would say for a wrestling match, she assumed one of the wrestlers was a trans woman, um, but she wasn't. She was born a woman and everything, and she was a black woman, and a lot of black women in sports get accused of being men in drag or something. Whatever it was a thing. Libel laws in the UK are taken more seriously. Yeah, it's a high bar in the US to win. She's suing in the French courts. I'd rather be beaten up than have to pay a lawyer. Hey, I work for lawyers. I know what you're saying, but Lori will give us a friends and family discount. She's Muslim. She is Muslim, but she's not trans. Yeah, I have a friend, really good friend, who gave me some of my dry clothes, but she's not a drag queen or anything. She's the real woman. Anyway, she got a Doc Juris JD, but then she decided she didn't want, I forget how it happened. She was either an RN first, then got her JD, or vice versa. But it's a interesting combination of degrees, and her work was not, she didn't pass the bar or anything, but she just worked as interpreting insurance claims at a hospital. Anyway. Lori's a retired lawyer. I'm looking forward to scandals of the LA Olympics. Oh gosh. One thing I'm hoping happens, I keep hearing rumors are going to do it, is put in a bullet, because I live in Vegas, put in a bullet train between Vegas and LA. Depends on how you define success. I ran a nonprofit to give free legal services to English non-speakers. That sounds like success to me in 2028. 2032 will be in Brisbane. Wow. Passing the bar is hard. Some people never get to try again after failing. Yeah. Oh gosh, I just realized these are not even. Let's see, can I make these even? Okay, we're just going to go with this. So let me. I'm going to put down some yellow and then put gold over the yellow. So hopefully it will be nice and bright. Smartest person I've ever known failed it 3 times. Did you ever see that movie, Leonardo DiCaprio, Catch Me If You Can? It's based on a true story about a, I guess he was a famous con artist who could convince people he was all sorts of things, including like an airline pilot. And he wasn't the one that was like in the pilot seat, but they have like three seats, and he was like in the third seat or something. Anyway, one of his cons was being an attorney. And he got a degree in the bar, and the FBI agent who finally caught him, played by Tom Hanks in the movie, asked him, well, how did you get that law degree? And the answer eventually was, well, he just studied for it and passed it without ever going to law school. Actually, I don't think you have to go to law school to be an attorney in some states. I mean, it depends on the state, but I think some states have like a mentor program for like a paralegal or whatever to be sponsored by an attorney. An attorney will teach them, and they still have to pass the bar. Okay. Now let's put on some gold and hope for the best. Oops. Maybe I should have done white instead of yellow, because the yellow is really showing through. Okay. Some people are just not good at, that's very true. Some people just don't do well on tests. Most of the story turned out to be totally fake. Oh, that's too bad. I hope the attorney part was true, though, because some parts of it was true, right? Frank Abigail, big fraud. His life story was biggest con of all. We had a doctor here who's practiced for a while until they found out he was fake. I've definitely heard of attorneys that didn't have a law degree that There was a big one in New York who was allegedly like a big name attorney, and he would always settle. uh, so he never had to go to court. But one time he had to go to court and things unraveled. So I'm on Johnny Carson a couple of times, 60s, smooth talker. He worked in Australian hospitals for 11 years. Surprisingly, how long some people get away. Stole the identity of an Indian doctor. Oh, that's not good. The opposite of blackface. Okay, so I'm just gonna. Oh, talking about, I'm going to do a video on the bindery, but the books don't come out till the 15th. So I'm going to film it today because it's fresh in my mind. But I'm thinking I won't release it until October. But should I wait before or after it's published? Because I usually release on Thursdays. So I could release it on the 10th, 5 days before, or the 17th, 2 days after. Or I could just release it on the 15th. That 1 week I'll release on a Tuesday rather than a Thursday. Yeah, I'll do that. I mean, I don't think anyone really cares the day I actually release videos. Okay. Like the book cover, might bookmark it. Book I'm looking forward to is about 20 children of my great-grandfather, written by my half-cousin once removed. Oh, that's interesting. Be out in a couple of months. Wow, wow, wow. On my father's side of the family, he's from the South. He was born in Florida in Miami, but you know, that's very Southern. Anyway, um, one of the people we're related to on that side of the family is a woman called Mary Boykin Chestnut, who wrote an autobiography. about living in the South during the Civil War era. It's kind of interesting. Yeah, it's kind of weird reading about your ancient family. I know someone who is a direct descendant of Brigham Young, the founder of Mormonism. Which maybe isn't so unusual because he had so many wives, but she was a direct descendant of his first wife, the main number one wife. Okay. Okay, I'm going to brush off this bake. What is this? Saw a Kindle book priced over $80. What is going on with that? Not that into family history stuff, but my brother is. Oh, the new Bobiverse book. Yeah, I stopped at the first three. I was very happy with the trilogy, original trilogy, but maybe I'll continue. And maybe the Flavia book, if I can persuade myself to pay that much for a Kindle book. I know, kills me. But, you know, the author has to get paid. I always like buying books, knowing that it does help the author out. Living in the South has always been interesting, but not in a good way. Yep. The new Bobiverse book is Not Till We Are Lost. Humanity are turning against the Bobs. I can't remember the title. It was a history book. And I told myself I would rather be ignorant of that history. Oh dear. Like the buggers in Ender's Game. Okay. Let me let's put on this orangey blush. I guess I'm just going to smoke this out with black. Now maybe I'll put in a little brown than black. Oh, you're a history major, but I don't read a lot of it now. That's interesting. Yeah, a friend of mine was a history major when I was in college, a person I went to high school with. There's not much you can do with that degree unless you go for like a law degree or something like that, a higher education, except to teach. Or of course, some jobs just want you to have a BA, so it doesn't matter. About what you could do with a history degree. um, I think that's all I wanted to do to the eye. No, I need to clean up the inside. But other than cleaning this up, I think I'm done. Okay, the cat eye went way too deep. But okay, whatever. As far as nonfiction is concerned, I mainly read science or history, mainly European, Australian history, occasionally US, Euro history, but mainly 20th century. Medieval history the most. I like a lot of historical eras, but I am done reading about World War II. Oh, me too. Yeah, it's a hard one to read. One of my favorite professors was a medievalist. I've overdosed on World War II stories. The only book I have recently read concerning World War II was about a British detective who had to track down Nazi war criminals. Well, that's post World War II. Okay. I am going to do the lips. You know, the only, not the only, but an interesting war was the War of 1812 because no one really knows anything about it. American history, of course. But we came close to taking Canada. I mean, the argument was there. Okay. Year 1812 war was very funny. I think Andrew Jackson made his bones in that War of the Creep. All I know about the War of 1812 was they set the White House on fire. Well, it was another thing with the British. I don't know, some import export, high seas controversy or conflict. But then, of course, Britain went through Canada to ally with some Native Americans, and I think it was like around Michigan, but it was right around the Canadian border. But that was the time where some American senators was like, we got to take Canada because that's Britain's inroad, which of course it was, but no one really cared about Canada at the time, so or had the will to go that far. But the yeah, it was Jackson. Was he 1812? But I know it was the Tippecanoe. He was. If you don't know, there's a president called, oh God, I don't even know his name. It was Tippecanoe and Tyler too. Shit, what was his name? He was a president that died like a month after becoming president. And then Tyler became president. But anyway, they got their names, Tippecanoe for, I believe it was 1812, with he like slaughtered a bunch of Indians in that conflict around Canada. Or Native Americans, or Indigenous Americans. Anyway, yeah, I don't even think Americans know much about the history. Human Game, the true story of the great escape murders and the hunt for the Gestapo gunman. We almost had war with Canada. Some people thought we should annex it. Harrison, that's it. Died of pneumonia a little after becoming pres. Yeah, he was Tippecanoe. I saw a video yesterday ranking the presidents by their support or non-support of LGBT people. Well, here's a question. Did we have an LGBT president? And by that, I'm talking about, oh my God, Buchanan? Oh, what was his name? Is that the guy? Oh, fuck. You took me by surprise. U.S. president. Yeah, James Buchanan. Well, for that matter, a lot of people think that Lincoln was, if not gay, but bisexual by having that relationship with that military man, because they allegedly slept in the same bed. But anyway, Buchanan was often accused of being gay. They think Buchanan was gay, the worst president in history, couldn't stop civil war and never married. The video said that quite a few presidents might be gay or bi, including Washington. Reagan was listed as the worst, Obama was the best. Sometimes they had to sleep. I don't know about that, Frank. Maybe you're right, but okay. Trying to just get a little shimmer on the lip. The funny thing about Reagan was that he was, at the time, he was considered probably, I don't want to say progressive, but the most pro, no, that's even the wrong word. But anyway, when it came to gays and lesbians, he was known for being more libertarian than your average Republican, in that live and let live attitude, especially since he was from Hollywood. He was an actor, so of course he had a lot of gay friends, Rock Hudson, and rumored that if, like on Air Force One or whatever, he heard someone being derogatory against gays, he would like shut it down because he didn't like that. And he did come out publicly against the proposition in the 70s about trying to block teachers who were rumored to be gay from teaching, or if they were, out gay men or women, this law would have prevented them from teaching, and Reagan strongly came out against it. So going in to his presidency, he was thought to be, by people like me at the time, to at least be libertarian where it concerned gays and lesbians. Again, that live and let live attitude that was common in the West. But then a little thing happened called AIDS, and he was the worst president you could possibly have when it came to AIDS, because he just refused to even acknowledge its existence, which probably led to a lot of people dying, in my opinion. And not just my opinion, but a lot of people think that way. One of his advisors was a guy named Pat Buchanan, a very conservative, socially conservative guy, who floated the idea of relocation camps for gay men to keep them away from the population because of AIDS. So at least Reagan didn't listen to that guy. Okay. I didn't know Eleanor Roosevelt. Oh yeah, I didn't hear about that. And there's something with the secretary. But they was okay, yeah. I took a long time to get into that, but yes. Reagan scored so low because of the yes. Eleanor was in love with Amelia Earhart. I thought there was something with their secretary. Now there was a nickname for Buchanan and the suspected senator or whoever, congressperson who was having a relationship with, and they called them like Miss Fancy or Aunt Fancy and Miss Prancy or something derogatory like that. It was a whole lot of that. Okay. Anyway, I think I'm ready for eyelashes. Am I fast or slow? Yeah, I did this fast. Very good. And I kind of like this look. I may start doing this more with the neutral and just doing the big color on the lid. Yeah, and me being a gay man in the 80s, I'm well aware of Reagan's lack of or abnegation of responsibility for AIDS. God, that was the worst decade to be gay, the 80s. The 90s weren't much better, but. Because at first they didn't even know about condoms. They didn't know why people were getting sick and dying. But that was the first time I did drag, was in the 80s. And then I kind of stopped and then moved to San Francisco and was more interested in sort of spiritual matters in the 90s. And just got back into drag because, one, I could do it online. And thanks to RuPaul, it's become kind of more mainstream. Although I'm sure there are people think I'm crazy doing this just for YouTube. But I enjoy it. I'm having fun, so. Didn't know she and her secretary lived together after Roosevelt's death. Well, one thing, here's a question, not about her sexuality, but did she run the country for a while while Roosevelt was really sick? I don't know, maybe. Very good group biography, The Roosevelt Women. Don't know, but no, she was mad as hell after finding out FDR cheated on her with the White House staff member. I might add that to my wish list. FDR cheated with everybody. I want a good book on the history of drag. I wish I knew. I don't know. Okay, I'm going to there. I know there's a couple of movies on the history of drag that's kind of interesting. Like the one Mooney was talking about, like the history of queer cinema is always interesting. But these are movies. Paris is Burning is the quintessential drag scene from the like the 80s. And then there's a movie called The Queen, which was about drag pageants in the 60s, 70s. There's a movie called something Tennessee about the drag queens that started from Tennessee. Okay. So let's put on some jewelry. There's all sorts of mythologies of where the term drag came from. And I don't know if it's true or not, but it's allegedly from Shakespeare, where men played women's roles during that period, and which is very sexist. But anyway, so the acronym was dressing as a girl. Wouldn't want to be a drag queen in Tennessee. Well, it's kind of funny that the original ballroom culture, like the really old ones, came from emulating the cotillions. So really drag had a big start in the South, because the South was big on these like coming out cotillions for women, and the gay men that wanted to participate in them, created their own. Which is why the pageant circuit's really big, more in the South than than elsewhere. But the ball culture sort of came out of that culture in the Northeast, in the like Paris is Burning, milieu. Okay, so I got good old Doris Day. Let me zoom out a little. I like this wig. I think if I'm going to get more wigs, I'm going to keep a lookout for short wigs. In those days, actors were considered to be one step above prostitutes. Oh yeah, there's that really good movie that delved into that. History that includes drags in the Elizabethan era. Learn something new every day. Yay, thanks. You look good with the wig. Oh, thank you. Yeah, sort of the gold eyes and pale blonde. No, it's not gray. This is definitely blonde. It's, I want to say platinum blonde, but it's probably a little darker than platinum blonde. Mary Marilyn, thank you. I'm saying Doris Day, but I like Marilyn. Looking great as always. Okay, guys, thank you so much for coming. Like I said, I'm going to be doing a video today on the And the Sky Bled, this new book from the new publisher Bindery, but I'm not going to release it until October when the book is released. But I just want to do the video now because it's in my mind and I just read it. But this week, this week I'll release the next in the 100 book series, with fantasy books and then science fiction. And I should be back next week to film another drag video. And thank you once again for coming. As always, may all the books you read be blessed. Bye.